This story is about a man named Daniel who feels lost and unfocused in life, but slowly realizes that his goals are still waiting for him. He understands that distractions, fear, and excuses have been stopping him from becoming the person he wants to be. The morning air was cool and quiet when Daniel opened his eyes, but inside his chest there was a storm he could no longer ignore. He was tired of waking up every day with the same heavy feeling that he was meant for something more, but kept drifting away from it. He knew deep down that his life was not supposed to be a cycle of distractions, delays, and empty promises he made to himself. He knew he had goals, real goals, powerful goals, the kind that could shape a future he could be proud of. But somewhere along the way, he had lost sight of them because the world around him kept pulling him in every direction except forward. He sat up on the edge of his bed, rubbing his eyes, thinking about the dreams he once planned with the confidence of a child who believed anything was possible. He remembered how brightly those dreams used to shine, but over time they became blurry, buried under noise, doubts, and excuses. And for the first time in a long time, he whispered to himself that he wanted them back. He wanted his focus back. He stood and walked slowly to the window, watching the early sunlight spill over the buildings, watching how everything outside moved with purpose while he felt stuck in place. Something inside him stirred, like a quiet voice telling him that this moment could be the moment everything changes, if he chose to let it. Because goals do not disappear. They wait. They wait for the day you finally stop running from them. They wait for the day you decide that enough is enough and that you are ready to fight for the life you want instead of settling for the life you have. Daniel felt that truth press against his heart. He realized that his problem was never lack of potential, it was lack of focus. Every time he tried to move toward his goals, he let himself get pulled away by distractions that felt harmless in the moment, but stole the future he was reaching for. It was never just one distraction. It was all of them put together, stacking up day after day, turning weeks into months and months into years, and he knew he could not afford to continue like that. He left his room and walked outside into the soft morning light, listening to the world waking up around him. As the breeze brushed past his face, he remembered something his grandfather once told him, that the world will always try to steal your focus, because unfocused people are easy to control, easy to influence, easy to discourage. But a person who learns to hold their focus becomes powerful, unstoppable, someone who moves through obstacles instead of being halted by them. Daniel had always admired people who seemed to live with strong direction, people who didn't break under pressure, people who walked forward even when no one believed in them. He always wondered how they did it. Now he finally understood that it wasn't luck or talent, it was focus. They chose to keep their eyes on their goals no matter what tried to pull their attention away. They chose discipline when distraction was easier. They chose effort when excuses felt more comfortable. And maybe that was what he needed. Not a miracle, not a perfect plan, not motivation that lasted a day. He needed commitment that lasted a lifetime. He walked farther down the street, noticing small moments he had ignored before. The shopkeeper setting up early because he believed consistency mattered more than comfort. The runner passing by with sweat on his forehead but determination in his steps. The student sitting on a bench with books open, preparing for a better future. Everywhere he looked, he saw reminders that people who chase their goals live differently from those who only talk about them. They give their energy to their priorities, not to distractions. They build habits that support their dreams instead of habits that sabotage them. And Daniel realized he wanted to live like that too. He wanted to wake up with purpose, not fear. He wanted to use his time instead of wasting it. He wanted to prove to himself that he was capable of more than he had been showing the world. And as he continued walking, he felt something inside him shift, like a spark finally finding the courage to become a flame. He found a quiet spot near the park and sat down, breathing deeply, letting his thoughts settle. He did something he had not done in years. He closed his eyes and visualized his goals clearly, as if they were standing right in front of him. He pictured the life he wanted to live, the achievements he wanted to reach, the person he wanted to become. He imagined how it would feel to finally succeed, to finally look back one day and say that he never gave up on himself. The image was powerful. It made his heart race. It made him feel alive. And in that moment, he made a promise to himself, a promise stronger than all the promises he made before and broke. He promised to stop giving his focus to things that did not matter. He promised to stop letting temporary pleasures steal long-term success. He promised to stop letting fear write his story, and he promised to wake up every day with his goals at the center of his mind, no matter how tired, busy, or overwhelmed he felt. But he also understood that focus is not something you find once and keep forever. It is something you choose again and again, especially on the days when you don't feel like choosing it. He knew distractions would come. They always do. He knew people would doubt him. They always have. He knew challenges would test him. They always will. But he realized that focus is strongest when it is tested, and goals matter most when the journey becomes hard. If the path were easy, everyone would walk it. But only those who stay focused long enough reach the end. And Daniel wanted to be one of them. He wanted to be someone who stayed when others quit, who pushed when others turned back, who believed when others doubted. He wanted to prove to himself that he could create the life he imagined, even if it took time, even if it took sacrifice, even if it took everything he had. He stood again and walked home with a new determination in his steps. Every street felt different now, every noise, every passing moment. It was as if the world around him had shifted simply because he had decided to shift within himself. He felt stronger, clearer, more present. When he reached home, he sat down at his desk and began writing down his goals. Not the vague dreams he once listed without intention, but real goals with real meaning. Goals that connected to his heart. Goals that reminded him why he needed to stay focused. As he wrote, he felt his mind sharpening. He felt his purpose strengthening. He felt his distractions losing power. And with every word on the page, he stepped closer to the person he knew he could be. He spent the rest of the day planning, thinking, and realigning. But more than that, he spent it choosing discipline over chaos, choosing clarity over confusion, choosing progress over perfection, choosing to move even if the steps were small, because what matters is not how fast you go, but that you never stop going. And that thought helped him breathe deeper and stand taller. He realized that life does not get better by chance. It gets better by focus. And he felt a calm determination settle into his bones, a steady fire that warmed him from the inside. Weeks passed, and each day he trained his focus like a muscle. Some days were easier, filled with energy and motivation. Some days were difficult, weighed down by doubt and exhaustion. But he kept going. He reminded himself that goals are not reached by feeling good every day, but by showing up every day, even when the feeling is gone. And slowly, something incredible began to happen. His life started to change, not in sudden dramatic moments, but in steady, quiet shifts. He became more disciplined, more intentional, more confident. People around him noticed the difference. They saw his growth, his consistency, his determination. And although they didn't always understand what drove him, he did. He knew that focus had become his greatest strength. He made fewer excuses, he wasted less time, he stayed committed even when no one was watching, because he realized he was not doing this for applause. He was doing it for himself, for the person he was becoming, for the future he was building. And every evening, as he reflected on his day, he felt proud, not of perfection, but of progress. Real progress. Progress that came from choosing his goals again and again. Months turned into a year, and the version of himself he had once dreamed of was no longer a dream. It was him. He had become someone who trusted his own strength, someone who didn't run from challenges, someone who stayed focused even when the world tried to pull him away, someone who had created a life filled with meaning, direction, and purpose. And one morning, as he stood at the same window where everything began, he smiled, not because he reached all his goals, but because he never lost sight of them. He smiled because he finally understood that focus is not about perfection. It is about commitment. It is about waking up every day and reminding yourself why you started. It is about ignoring the noise and listening to the voice inside you that says you were meant for more. He smiled because he had proven to himself that when you stay focused on your goals, you become unstoppable. And the truth is, your goals are waiting for you too. They are standing right in front of you, ready for you to claim them. They do not need you to be perfect. They only need you to be focused. They need you to take the first step, and then the next, and then keep walking even when the path gets difficult. They need you to trust that every small effort counts, even when results seem far away. They need you to understand that your future will be shaped by the focus you choose today. So breathe in, look ahead, and remind yourself of what you truly want. Because the moment you decide to give your full focus to your goals, everything begins to change. Not instantly, but certainly. Not easily, but absolutely. Stay focused and watch how your life transforms. Stay focused and become the person your future self will thank you for. Stay focused because your goals are waiting and you are ready.